Still got Guapo on the screen here.
El Guapo.
But let's look at this picture right here, Grover. What do you guys say about this picture?
I think this is very important. This is from a content creator who I came across in a group I came across on Facebook called Real Daddy Advice. And it's a gentleman with his 2 children. And he said he just wanted to leave something, because I chatted with him just a little. And I believe he said he just wanted to leave a legacy or just something that his kids could just check out. And he was really thinking about him because he has 2 young kids. I've had a lot of conversations with that. But you know, I had this monologue prepared because, you know, content creators, what we do, and just so everyone thinks, you know, some people just go straight off the dome, but not me. I prepare things, and when I sat down, when I came home, you could check with Scott that something was wrong. It was off. The vibe just wasn't right. You know, maybe I was working too much. Maybe I was tired. But the vibe wasn't right with the stream because I was troubled about something.
What are you troubled about?
What I'm troubled about is, honestly, O'Shea Duke Jackson leaving the Manosphere. So I just want to tell a little story. Shout out to the lead attorney, because he said if your live streams don't have a story, your live streams up. So I just wanted to tell a story about a time when, I mean, you know, the TIP Network, we're not a new channel. I mean, we just grew a little recently, but we're not new.
With the help of the lead attorney. So shout out to the lead attorney.
Shout out, lead.
And shout out to all you guys out there helping us to reach our past 1,000 mark and 4,000 watch hours.
Yeah. Just got monetized, right? So, but what I want to say, and I know it's because it troubles me probably more to other folks, is that seeing O'Shea Duke Jackson saying he wanted to leave the Manosphere troubled me, because in a lot of ways, O'Shea Duke Jackson is responsible for the stylized videos that we were doing. I mean, I looked at it as like someone who could tell a story, could Trojan horse his way in, but who could also make it fun, interesting, and informative, and stand on something that he wants to stand on. You know, this is what this man did. Why would he leave something that, honestly, he's probably more responsible for shaping in the past 4 or 5 years than anyone else? And I believe, and being solutions oriented, that we're going to talk about it tonight. What I'm going to talk about is professionalism. Why is professionalism so important? Well, I guess we really have to define what this space is that we're in. Shout out to the people in the chat. Shout out to folks who rock with us.
Shout out to Story to Tell, Simcia, Before the Billions.
Yes, Before the Billions in the house. Salute.
Irais,
salute. Snuggle 668. Everyone watching, shout out to you. Folks who rewatch this, if you're not watching it now, but you spend time with us. The Manosphere started off a long time ago. The Manosphere started off in barbershops and bars, and just men basically talking to other men about issues and finding ways to communicate with each other. Because I know you folks don't understand this, but men, we communicate differently. We don't communicate through touchy-feeliness. How we communicate usually is through building on a foundation of our morals. And then our boys, our friends, they give us that corrective action while we're moving along. Actually, the whole timeline of a man's development, as I've experienced, is that your parents set the foundation. Your friends kind of keep you on that right track, because we all know, and you've heard it, he's just hung around with the wrong crowd. Well, if you hang around the wrong people, if you hang around with broke people, if you hang around with people who ain't doing nothing, you're bound to be like them. It's something about that. And so the Manosphere was kind of like pushing people through that. The last part of the Manosphere that people don't talk about is mentorship. So what the Manosphere was before was a place where men could actually talk to each other. But what has it evolved into? I'm just going to say this evolved into a bunch of grown-ass men crying.
And fighting with each other, warring.
fighting with each other, crying, but
mass reporting each other, trying to take each other's channels down,
taking down channels.
And this is not to any one creator. This is actually a collection of creators that happen to use these tactics.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not. I'm not even picking on somebody. It's just it happens all the time.
Man, listen.
I mean, struggle streaming already. I mean, when I say that, I mean people who are even in the men's space or do things that could be valuable to the men's space take down creators all the time. They take down creators all the time. So, if the manosphere is in danger, the question I have to the people in the chat, because look, I've said this, my first stream, my second stream, you folks are our investors. You invest your time, you invest your eyes, you invest the watch hours. Without the people watching, this is done. 10 people here, 11 people here, 9 people here, 8 people here. We appreciate you. 25, 45, we appreciate you because you folks are the most important part of this whole function. Without that, nothing happens. Shout out to Harrison Family Values. Shout out, sir. So without you folks investing, if you got to look at this as a business, but the question I'm asking you is that if the manosphere itself is in danger, is Kevin Samuels, TLA, and El Guapo are people who come from a professional point of view, are they the answer? Is professionalism the answer? And this is a question I want to ask you folks. Because I believe that the men's space is so important because it represents a substitute for mentoring. But hey, it's also a place for exploitation. Shout out to charging someone $1,000, $2,000, $50 an hour for a console, $50 a minute, excuse me. You know, and I don't understand where grown alpha men argue with other supposedly grown alpha men. Because it comes to a certain point that when you start arguing with each other, it's put up or shut up. And this is not what we want to do. So I'm going to just state this again. And I want to really summarize it, that your morals start at home. Regardless of your religion, if you're agnostic, if you're atheist, what you do day to day and how you're raised day to day, from just waking up, taking a shower, to cleaning up, to the operations you do, start at home. And your true friends, not the yes men, but your true friends, they add that corrective action. They stop you when you're slipping. And your mentors are the ones who open up the horizons for you. Your mentors are the ones that help you in business. Now, we can learn from every content creator that we're going to highlight tonight. We're going to start with Kevin Samuels.
Let me check 1 second.
So here's the thing about Kevin Samuels. Kevin Samuels has a platform with over 1 million viewers on YouTube and 1 million viewers on Instagram. By the way, I'm sure people have done it before, but not in the men's space. Kevin Samuels have crossed over to mainstream. Kevin Samuels, I mean, he was just on Future's video, interviewed Nicki Minaj, he interviewed with Joe Budden. He's been mentioned in, you know, people's rhymes. But I heard before that people say Kevin Samuels is so rude and bombastic the way he talks. But I've been in negotiation tables before, and that's how men negotiate with each other. The thing that really takes women aback is because men rarely communicate with women in a strict professional manner. Let's roll a clip with Kevin here.
You can book a time. My show, hold on, I'll be right back. My show is not to give you exposure. If you want brand exposure, purchase advertising. Hello, how are you?
Hey, good. How are you?
Okay, how old are you?
I'm 20. I'm 30. 30 from Atlanta.
20, or you say you're 30 from Atlanta. All right, your first name?
Jasmine.
All right, so what's your criticism?
My criticism is I want you to critique the women who date men for money. Since you got so much negativity to say about women, how do you feel about women who date men or with men specifically for money? How do you feel about that?
I don't
Do you feel like
understand-
they're wise or
I
they're
don't
dumb?
understand the question. You want me to critique who?
Criticize women who date men, specific men with intentions.
So that's enough of the clip.
Meaning you're very specific about the.
So just from right then, I've heard that Kevin Samuels is rude. I've heard that Kevin Samuels doesn't know how to talk to folks. I'm telling you that I've seen people call people all types of nefarious things behind closed doors in negotiations before, and I'm telling you, Kevin Samuels is not that. What Kevin Samuels is direct, but he does represent a professional in the space. And, I'm not the first one to cover this. Shout out to Duke and Don. Duke and Don, excellent content creator, friend of the show, someone who we all spent time with before. We spent time watching his streams, and we've invested. We're investors. We're investors at Duke and Don. The question is this: when we talk about Kevin Samuels, is he what's needed in the space right now? Is it being more of a professional with direct talk? Why is Kevin Samuels so important? Because you know what? He got on a large platform.
That you feel are within your
struggle streaming already. Shout out to TLA. Why is Kevin Samuels so important? No, on a large scale, he spoke to women in a way that men wanted to. And you know what? They actually stayed and listened. I mean, let's just say, shout out to Before the Billions when she comes on the screen smoking. That's not professional. And a lot of folks, they take these YouTube shows like this. I mean, Kevin has a drink on screen every now and again, so am I. I ain't better than him. But this is what I mean. You come on unfocused, you don't have your things together, and you ask a question. And it takes a while for him to get riled up, but that was what needed. Would it have been better, and this is the question that I'll ask folks, and you can respond, would it have been better if Kevin Samuels, as soon as she came up, just said, "Get out of here, I don't want nothing to do with you"? Or would it have been better for Kevin Samuels to placate her? Or would it be better for him to just directly question this woman like he did and to make his point? A lot of folks don't like Kevin Samuels. A lot of folks think Kevin Samuels is a fraud or he's not what he said he was. But I tell you something, Kevin Samuels is a professional in the space. And when I say professional in the space, I mean, shout out to us over here in California. Getting a polo shirt and a V-neck t-shirt is like we're dressing up. If I put on a jacket, I'd really feel like I was doing something. But Kevin Samuels, I've never seen him not on his show dressed like he's going into the boardroom. I've never seen him on his show not handle himself appropriately. Even when he swears, and he barely swears, he doesn't get loose and cuss somebody out. He tries not to stay in frame. Stay out of frame. He tries to stay in frame. So the next content creator I want to talk about, and for Kevin Samuels, I'm going to say, does the Manosphere need somebody to be professional, present themselves professional, and stay in their frame during tense situations? Because look, we've all seen all of these panels where people are going back and forth, yelling at each other. And to me, personally, I just don't see a lot of volume in it. I see a Shark Tank where no one's getting their opinions across. I don't see volume in it. The next person I want to highlight is the TLA, the lead attorney.
Lead attorney here. Hope you guys are doing well, man. It's getting deep.
Okay. And so with the lead attorney, what has lead attorney done to make him grow so well? Well, the lead attorney showed the Manosphere the quality of networking, but not only networking, bringing people up one at a time and letting them speak. Shout out to Before the Billions. Shout out to A Story to Tell. I literally seen these folks first on the TLA and the lead attorney. So it's the TLA, someone who perhaps is this what we need in a space? Do we need somebody to come and just network and just open up his platform and just let people come on and build up small content creators. Because I'm gonna tell you, I haven't seen many people at all do that. I haven't seen people come on and let people talk like that. Let people literally promote themselves. You know, I seen a lead attorney, see the TLA, I was watching the stream and he said, hey, to get a shout out from the lead attorney, just a shout out on his channel with how many folks he has, his subscribers, and how monetized his stream is. It's worth $1,700 a shout out, yet he does it for free. Probably does it for the price, honestly, of a $20 super chat if you really think it. If you really think that. So with that being said, is this what we should be doing? Should we do more of this? Do we need more of just working together in the manosphere to save it? Do we need more allegiances? One thing I know we don't need is public bickering and arguing, because the eyes are on us. Folks don't recognize that we work for Big Alphabet when we're here. What do I say, work for Big Alphabet? When I say we work for Big Alphabet, I mean that this is a Google platform. Google's ran by, it's a very liberal space. Google's right down the street from us here. Liberal, you know, and having men's content, we will find it shrinking more and more if we don't regulate how we do things. I'm going to open up the panel, but I just want to just highlight another creator. You know, he's on a thumbnail. And he also offers something different.
Let's show it real quick.
So we talked about Kevin Samuels. We talked about the lead attorney. We want to talk about Guapo, Beautiful Lies podcast. And El Guapo.
1 second.
You don't know what you're doing.
It just, I mean, just the introduction itself, it's powerful and it lets us know what's up. But something else I like, just play it just a little longer. Just a little while longer. Yeah. Play the clip right here. Just right there.
Hey, team. Wow.
And
I am just wrapping up the first episode of Snob Talk, First Class Flights.
Oh, just looking at the presentation. This was in a, I believe this was in the Checkmate Studios. The presentation that he had, just how he looks in the background, inspired us, inspired the Tip Network to do something special to represent where we're from. Green screen behind us, you know, to have quality content. Now, what is El Guapo? What is he passionate about? All things mentoring and leadership. What's needed in the space? What did I say? The things that help development. And the hidden factor is mentoring. So the question I have to the chat, the question I have to the folks here who are investing your time, because you are our investors,
And first
is what exactly is needed to save this space? Because if O'Shea Duke Jackson says that I'm leaving, if O'Shea Duke Jackson says that I'm leaving, if he says that I'm leaving, and hey, Manosphere, it's been out. I see it on Duke and Don screen. And I think in the chat, I think I see that every time we share that our audio is messing up. So if that's the case, chat, please put up a 1 if every time we share our audio is messing up, because we don't have many more screen shares to go and I cannot talk over it. But if O'Shea Duke Jackson says he's leaving, then I think that we have to be solutions oriented and find out what's happening and what's making this space undesirable. What's making this space undesirable for folks? And we have to solve it. So is the solution being agnostic to beef like Kevin Samuels? Look, I'm sure he beefs behind the scenes, but I've never heard him address anything. Or is it that, okay, so most of the time, shout out before the billions, most of the time, the clip messes up. We're gonna have to work that out.
Yeah, we got to get a new live streaming computer. That's what we got to do, bro. This is all. Hey, so this laptop I'm running off of, it's basically a laptop I had to get like last minute, and so it handles the editing as well as handles the live streaming. So I don't have my super editing PC on me.
Yeah.
But thank you for bearing with this, the struggle stream, because the struggle stream is real. Shout again to TLA.
The fifth, the fifth struggle, sixth struggle stream. What's the fifth struggle stream? But like, so let's break it down. So Kevin Samuels, should we be beef agnostic? Should we handle all beef behind closed doors? Look, I'm actually moderated a couple of beefs for folks before, because people look at me as somebody who's fair and balanced, and I say that a lot of times things can be handled behind closed doors with no issues at all. You know, shout out to everybody who trusts me with that, and just to be up and down the middle. You know, and I think a lot of folks think that when they're the ones who tap me, that they're the only ones who do it, but it happens quite a bit. Should we build such an inclusive network like the TLA? And should we just bring up folks and let them talk one by one? Should we do it like the TLA does? Is that something that we should do? Or should we have such a presentation to focus on mentoring like a Guapo? My solution is that we are going to have to be super duper Scion creators right now.
All right.
Super Scion.
So, okay.
We're going to have to go Super Scion.
When I asked you, so we call it Silicon Valley, but apparently, how do you pronounce it?
Silicone.
Why do you call it silicone?
Because of breast implant.
But you said it's a black thing, right?
Yeah.
So when you're saying super Saiyan,
Super Scion.
but is Super Saiyan, is it like a black thing too?
That's just how I say it.
I just gotta make sure.
You just over here just listen. I didn't prepare this whole damn monologue. You know I'm sipping. I didn't prepare this whole monologue talking about professionalism, and here we go. No, but should we build this community?
Hell yeah, we should.
Should we build this huge community? And should we have a more professional presentation? Or should we do all three? And I just want to know what you think in the chat. I just want to know what you folks think. And I really want to bring up folks one by one. And I want to talk to you one by one and really get your ideas on this. Because look, everybody in this community that I know who are content creators, you know, Before the Billions, Mr. O, Story to Tell, Great Pill Podcast, folks that I personally know that are content creators, Harrison Family Values. I want to ask this question of what should we be doing to solve the issues? Shout out to Bossy, Why These Bumps, Eating Off TLA and KS. Shout out to anybody who uses that critical thinking to ask a question like that without even noticing what we're talking about. Actually, we're not bums and we're not eating off of TLA. We've been on the stream before. Oh, let me just adjust.
Okay,
let me feed the trolls for a second. Not only have we been on the stream before, not only have we talked to the gentleman before, not only are we in his Patreon and we've communicated directly with him before, but you know, what we're doing is using him as an example of how to get better. See, this is what the men's space is about, and this is what the men's space has become.
Has devolved into.
It's devolved into someone who doesn't even listen, who just wants to argue, and it's become folks who, you know, I mean, it's devolved from becoming folks who want to mentor, who want to help, and who want to get better, and it's become people who just want to argue and just don't really have anything constructive to say. So congratulations, Bossy. I hope you feel bossy, and you can bossy your way right out the chat.
Kevin Samuels, it happens to be my most favorite Manosphere content creator. I'm not really even into the relationships thing. Even his when the girls call in or when people call into a show, yeah, it is entertaining. But honestly, after a while, it gets stale for me because that's not kind of content I'm into. But if he happens to have a very fire monologue, if the topic is good, I tune into his monologues. I love his monologues. So just letting you know, I'm actually a big Kevin Samuels fan. I really love the TLA because of what he's done for us, how he's helped us. Yeah. And plus, we're also going to do a Why Is series on TLA and Kevin Samuels.
And like a lot of folks, see, I think that folks don't understand is that how do you become successful in anything is you treat it like a business. And it doesn't make a difference of what you consider successful. But I know how hard it is to build any type of community. I know how difficult it is to build any type of community. And so what we're going to do is this. Anybody who wants to hit that hit that link, come up, and let's talk about it. I don't want to have a super long monologue today. Shout out. I don't want to long stroke it. But what I want to do is I want to talk to folks in this space about how can we fix it. And are these 3 examples, folks, we should look at? Or is there another example of somebody? So I want to welcome to the stream our first guest, Mr.
How you guys been today?
Doing well, sir. And how are you?
Can't really complain much, you know. I know it's been like a long time coming and all that stuff. How's everything been with you guys so far?
Man, I'm doing well. I'm doing well.
But I tell you, the Manosphere, as a reason, I can't really just take like the Manosphere too seriously. No disrespect to the guys that are putting it on, because I know what they been talking about and like how they've actually been explaining stuff and all the monologues. They gotta get like some very great points. But there's like some sketchiness they have like behind the scenes, where there's like some hypocrisy involved. That's why I can't really take those guys like way too seriously because of that. But I still like take the advice of the monologues like literally like every now and then and try to apply it to my life. So I give credit for that, but I try my best not to actually get too sucked in, so that you don't get like hemmed up and you don't get sucked up to the rabbit to the point where you literally lose yourself. And that's something that you don't want to do.
Excellent, Christian. Excellent. That's such a good point. I mean, I think that's with anyone. We did a stream where we were talking about fake gurus, and we kind of went on prosperity preachers, but we also took like fake gurus of Silicon Valley. And one of the things is, I think it's very important to like chew on the meat and spit out the bones, right? That's something that one of the creators say. But I mean, what do you think like hypocrisy behind the scenes? What's an example? And you could just use like, for instances, you don't have to say names or anything if you don't want to, or if you want to say names, you can.
Well, we know about the 2 dudes that you see up in the podcast in Miami that actually like had literally blew up. They had an episode with Kevin Samuels at the time. It was like with this white feminist lady that came by. A good friend of theirs. She actually used to work for them in the show. I'll let you guys figure it out. Basically, from according to what he said, they actually brought him on. They schooled the feminist that was there. And then literally off camera, you got like one partner literally where trying to bone her out and actually popping down one time. Actually, that was before, but the white feminist noticed that like she's been getting heated in the job, so she's been pressing him to actually take the video down. But homie was doing whatever he can to actually make sure he kept the video up just to get the clout, even if he means sleeping with her, which he did, and they were together. He played her down the line. You know what I'm saying? All of a sudden come by, he was actually doing some sipping behind the scenes. And that's what had me looking at it the wrong way. So
no, I mean, I think that's absolutely a valid point. That when people do things behind the scenes, you have a whole lot of behind the scenes knowledge that you know a lot of.
Yeah,
stuff
I try. I've been watching the videos. That's how I know.
Yeah, I mean, I know who we're talking. I know who we're talking about down there at in Miami. And we have a good friend who is in contact and knows a lot about that situation. Is there any other creators that you would think that kind of like has degraded themselves that it's hard to take seriously?
I know some others. I know Kevin. I'm not really mad at Kevin at all because like he's doing like a great job. But I know there was some criticism of him by the business one time, but I'll try and look more into that. But I know there's like another criticism that they have with the Andrew Tate one time that he was having some issues with like him going flabbergasted once. To stay in the center, I hadn't even met the guy from what I knew. I know he was like basically one of those like pimping channels, basically trying to be like a wannabe Snoop Dogg, if I'm not mistaken. Doing a whole like hardcore red pill things, but yeah, when he gets actually showed out and studied by like Kevin Samuels himself, all of a sudden he does like a complete 180. That's what had me like a little bit iffy.
When you say 180, do you mean like
hardcore
simping?
Yeah, basically. What I'm hearing. I'm not trying to take it like word of mouth. I haven't really fully experienced it. That part I don't know. I'm just trying to take it with a grain of salt. I know if like one area was Steve, the Dean was saying, because I know what he said some in the past about Kev, because I know he was struggling back then, but he was like doing okay now and everything's like all resolved. But like Kev, like Steve, the rest of the guys, I know they're cool in my book. But I try my best not to really get too sucked in. I'd rather just try to do my own research and actually try to practice myself behind the scenes That's why I utilize and plug and chug to see if I can create my own system that way.
Well, I mean,
strategy, all that other BS.
Well, I'm 100% doing your own research and going your own way. I'm 100% for that. And the reason why I'm for that, we're doing your own research, is because if you just, I mean, even my mentors in business that I've had, people who've helped me immensely, one thing that happens, and I have like little tips, and I tell folks all the time, like, don't think that your mentor at one point can't be your competition. Like friendly competition is called friendly competition because you know each other. Right. Friendly competition is not called friendly competition because you're not trying to win. And so I think that it's always important to like take what you could take from any situation, but still keep your eyes open enough to learn, because nobody's perfect. No one's gonna be perfect. I mean, a lot of people criticize me for being in a space because I'm in a real long-term relationship. So people look at me and they say, "Well, how dare you do that?" And it's like, well, I mean, what are you supposed to do? I'm almost 50 years old. Am I just supposed to be like try to run around and play the field forever? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, you know, try to get married and have a family too. So that you got people who are trying to do that too.
Yeah. And so I think like it all depends on the situation. But I think it's so valid what you said about one of the things that hurt the manosphere is that when they don't hold their frame of what they say, because let's say that we all talk about being in control of our emotions, but every time I'm on stream somewhere and someone challenges me, I just start yelling, you know, or I can't. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, listen, man, if you can't control yourself from that pushback. I mean, I've had pushback before where like I'm trying to get a deal done that's worth a lot of money for my company, and someone's like cutting my deal apart and lying about me. You still can't get mad, or because especially if you lose it there, you're going to lose it everywhere. You know what I mean? And so I think that it's so valid that you got to try to hold your frame. But I do leave room understanding that humans are dynamic, they change, and no one's perfect. Because if you would have talked to me, you look like you're a really, really young man. I mean, I'm just looking at the screen here.
30. You know, that's right.
30. So yeah, 30. That's a good. Right. Hey, 30 seems like 5,000 years ago for me, but it's just 18. You know, but it seems like forever. Just seems forever. But I tell you, like the 30-year-old me, the 30-year-old me is not qualified to give advice to the 48-year-old me.
Agreed.
But the 48-year-old me can give great advice to the 30-year-old me. Now, here's the problem. When I was 30, I had to give advice to the 25-year-old kids who were asking me questions, right? And I wish that I could have had that 48-year-old knowledge right now to give advice, because I could have did a better job. Not that I didn't want to do the best job I could, but I could have did a better job, because, of course, we always want to do the best job we can do.
Yeah.
You know, man. And so, question: Are you a content creator or
no? I'm not a content creator. I just the YouTube content space. I just don't really have the time to actually do it right now. But right now, I'm actually just doing like some coding and trying to apply for like job in like the whole math statistics field. So I try and get like myself into that in the whole NYC area. So that's what I'm basically worried about right now. The content creation is just not my day, because it's extremely cutthroat for one, and people want to do like the whole clout chasing thing just to try and make a quick buck and not really try to help people.
Yeah. And let me tell you something. If you can't win. So if you call out somebody for something that you think is bad behavior, even if you're constructive with it, you're clout chasing. Right. If you talk about, like, literally the gentleman I'm going to talk about today, it's in great. I'm just saying, do they have the answer to help some of pieces of help the space, right?
Right.
But you're going to be called a clout chaser because why do you even talk about them? And like we had a stream where we were really critical of the FNF boys in Miami, but we had another one where we really took their side on something, saying like, hey, we believe that it was a false nudity claim against them. Right. And this is just to tell you how cutthroat it is, right? We were told that, listen, look at the hatred is real. You're talking about them again. And I'm like, we're talking good about them. We're actually on their side.
And this is in regards of them pushing their people over to their Patreon. And I'm for the creator economy. Grover, by definition, is for the creator economy too. Yeah, right. And that's one of the tactics that you want to do, is you want to shovel people over to your website, your personal website, or your Patreon, or whatever social media site. Because what happens if YouTube decides to demonetize you and kick you right off of YouTube because they don't like your content?
Right. And you know, and YouTube is like, one thing I know about working in the Valley And like, I could go over my background quickly just for everybody because it's relevant. I didn't come up in tech. I came up working as a retail manager in the Bay Area. And when I came up working in retail management in the Bay Area was one of the best jobs you could have. I know store managers that say we drove Corvettes.
Right.
And Cadillacs. And I was like, what? Hold on. I'm doing something wrong, right?
Sexual content. How that doesn't make any sense.
Exactly. So when we seen that, we were like, absolutely not. We seen the stream when it was on, and it was just a lie. And so we said, hey, you know what? If they can do that to them, and these folks are big, they got a lot of sponsorship. They should be funneling people to the Patreon, but more likely they should be funneling people to their own website. And the reason why I say that is because I understand how it is in Silicon Valley, where someone just gets a bug up their tail and they decide, no, you're the one we're going to make an advantage of because we don't like you. It's very easy to say that. It happens. Very easy. You could be super popular, but they could just say, you know what? We heard you say something that we don't agree with. Maybe your stance on anything, and it's not your content. Your content's making us money. We don't care, but we don't want you, and you'll be gone. And that's how it works here. And I could call out a lot of folks who are nowhere near this space who just went through it, like in a news space, like Kim Iverson for one, in a very news space, who was a very great creator who almost lost her channel twice now. And so that's why I always say that, but just be agnostic. Why do I say, and to me, that's professionalism. And that's why I say professionalism is needed. And that's why I say, like, folks like you who are spending your time with me right now, you're my investor. And that's why I'm talking to you so sincerely and telling you stuff, because you're my investor. Because I look at it as just like, if the TIP network is an IPO, and every time you watch, you're investing. And that's how we approach it. So thank you. You have any last comments on this? We want to rotate and bring up another person.
Well, any last comments? I would just basically try to say, just be very thoroughly careful and thoroughly analyze who the person is before you actually try to treat them as God and all that stuff, and always try to do your own research ahead of time so that you'll be able to create your own system that way. That's all I'm gonna say.
100%. Thank you so much for the comments.
Problem, bro. Problem, Scott, you guys be easier, right?
All right, thank you for coming up.
Salute, Chris.
Have a good night.
And next we have.
All right, we're gonna put the Caduceus shield up again.
Yeah, shout out to Caduceus.
So just so you know, how do you pronounce it? Caduceus. Yeah. All right, cool.
What's going on, brothers?
Hey, my G, how you doing?
I'm chilling, man. Am I coming in low or is it sound fine?
You're good. I'll control the volume.
Okay. We got you. We got you. So I came across you on the TLA stream. That's the first time I see you. And I was a watcher, and the TLA had brought you up in, and I think you were just starting your channel then.
Absolutely. He was the first person that I've ever, I've been watching YouTube forever, but he was the first person where it was a topic that I felt, that I had been fresh on. And I was just like, what do I have to lose? Let me just try it out. And, I was definitely nervous. But that was the first stream I went up on.
So what do you think about this? First of all, tell us about your page and your channel, your page, and what you do, your show.
So right now I'm under 1,000 subscribers. I'm probably at about 540, something like that, 550. And it's pretty much current event topics. I may touch a little bit of Manosphere stuff, because, that's what I watch. So if there's anything out of the ordinary, I may touch that. But a lot of it is current events. A lot of current event topics. Relationship a little bit, because that's something natural that we experience. So, it's not so much telling somebody what to do, more so just giving my testimony on situations that I've experienced.
Right. And is it like a visual storytelling style? Like, if they came over to your channel and because we talk about channels like IPOs here, And I always say, like, hey, if they come there, like, one thing I tell somebody, if you go to McDonald's, shout out to the worst food in the history of the world, you can get a Big Mac.
I love McDonald's.
I know you love McDonald's. You can get a Big Mac though, right? You know it. You go to McDonald's, you're going to get a Big Mac. It's just like if you go to a Mexican spot in California, you're going to be able to get a type of burrito, a super burrito. So if we go to a store to tell, what do we see right away?
So right now you're going to see a variety. You're going to see some, I guess, documentary type narration of current events. So in one instance, you may see me in front of the camera talking about it. In another instance, you may just see a current event being documented and me narrating over it. Me giving opinion and accounts of the circumstances. One of the most recent ones I did was the Tory and Meg situation.
Right.
I spoke on that. And I'm going to continue because, of course, it's an ongoing topic. New evidence is coming out. So,
yeah, that's excellent, man. One thing that I find interesting in the Manosphere is that I know when it started off, and actually, who told me this? Uncle Guns told me this, who was a narrator for some Black Bill pages. And he told me that, man, the Manosphere started off in 97 on message boards. And I was like, dog, in 97, I couldn't even afford a computer, man. So I didn't have no message boards. You know what I mean?
Right.
I really didn't have a computer. I really didn't have that. So since that happened, and I was like, well, how I message boards, and I said, well, how has it evolved, or how has it evolved? And I was told that it evolved from like great information to like arguing with each other in some hit pieces. So, and look, men are always going to disagree, but I don't necessarily, I see it always better to disagree, but not to just straight up argue. You know what I mean?
Right. I don't think the disagreement or the arguing should be the foundation of, we're always going to have our disagreements, whether it's about music, whether it's about sports, we're always going to have our heated debates, but that can't be the foundation of our interactions or of our content. It's just not sustainable.
Yes, 100%. So, my question is that, do you think that we should start taking a more professional approach to what we do and really treat it more like a business? Because, you don't see businesses openly feuding out in open. Like, you don't see, like, Burger King will make a commercial about McDonald's, but, they're not just straight banging on each other. Like, I mean, we're talking about, we're going to put, shout out to Obsidian.
Hey, Wendy's on Twitter though.
Wendy
goes after everybody.
Yeah, Wendy is kind of wild on Twitter though. But shout out to Obsidian. But he's like, I ain't a player, but I ain't a killer, but don't push me. And I was like, oh, dog. Like, and it's just like, it's just really what we should be doing, or should we take? Shout out to Kevin Samuels being agnostic about beef. Like, I'm just avoiding all beef. Or like the TLA, yeah, he got in some beef and said stuff, but really he's so inclusive that people just want to deal with him because he's so inclusive. Has such a big. I mean, I've seen people obviously don't get along with, obviously say bad things about him, but I mean, if you build a network where somebody can come up and promote themselves, and you don't ask for anything from it.
But let me ask, what's really the big difference between beef? Like, let's say when Bill Gates and Steve Jobs had a beef. And these are like two all-powerful people, uber rich, big, powerful companies. And when can we actually have beefs here on YouTube just to make it entertainment? Like, where does it cross the line where it's not entertainment anymore?
I think the two people involved, I mean, because if you think about it, beef can be entertainment if it remains in that realm. But once you start talking about pulling up, drop your address, you know what I mean? And that's the thing where you were saying, should these be treated as businesses? I mean, I think it depends what your agenda is, what your objectives are. If you see a 5-year plan for it, if you have a vision, then absolutely you treat it as a business, because the stuff that you did in year 1 and year 2 can absolutely come back to bite you in year 4 and year 5, and it could help you or hurt you. Now, if your channel is catered to beef, then yeah, that's something that's going to be the foundation. But even within that, there's a certain line that you don't want to cross, because you want it to be entertaining. You don't want people to
Absolutely.
leave. So you have to figure out what your objective is. What's your plan with each year? Like, cause right now, like I said, with me being under 1,000 subscribers, I'm beta testing right now. I'm trying to figure out what my strengths and what my weaknesses are. This is something that I was a media arts major in college,
Mhm.
and I was never in my college. I went to a HBCU, so we were very low funded. So a lot of the stuff that I should have been doing in college, I didn't get the opportunity to, unless it was, internships and stuff like that. So now all the stuff that I learned, I'm trying to put to test now. All the stuff that I was told back then, I'm kind of trying to put it in motion. Even though, technology has advanced a lot since then, I'm
Mhm.
trying to put a lot of it in motion. You know what I mean? So so I think you definitely have to have a vision, but in terms of like, we're walking into a situation that was already boiling. With Kevin Samuels, I
Absolutely.
think I think he handles stuff well, because he
Mhm.
never responds to it, because he has a vision. He in his mind, he sees where he wants to be. So he knows that anything he does now is going to either hurt or help
Where you?
what his vision is, where he wants to go. So
Mhm.
that's why you see, when you have a person that doesn't have like a plan, everything is erratic, everything is sporadic, So it's like, I'm just gonna react to this guy who's trolling me in the craziest way possible, because ultimately I don't know if I'm gonna even be on YouTube in 5 years. So I'm gonna
Mm.
deal with this and react to it emotionally, where if you have a plan, you
Mhm.
on cruise control. All this other stuff, this is just scenery. I'm on the
Right.
highway, I know where I'm going. This is
Exactly.
just scenery. You know what I mean? It's already there, this is already laid out. This is just stuff that's gonna come with the territory. So
Mhm.
he has a clear vision, and you see that based on his reaction to stuff like this. If you notice the Nicki Minaj and Joe Budden interview on the internet, I thought that was clever, that he responded to them with almost being sarcastic and humorous. It was like,
Mhm.
I'm not talking about Nicki Minaj, but everything I'm saying is about Nicki
Nicki
Minaj.
Minaj.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm not talking about brother Joe Buttons, but everything I'm saying
Mhm.
is about Joe Buttons. You got guys out here, they be whooping on these chicks like hotcakes. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, you.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but it's clever, because they did the same. You sent it rough, I sent it back the same way it came. You know what I mean? So
But one thing I
you,
think that I apologize for interrupting you. One thing I think is that, coming from being around some artists before, an artist will appreciate slick dissing way more than overt dissing. And I'm just going to tell you, overt dissing is like, I always tell people, like, slick dissing is what Drake does to everybody. Drake slick diss you until, like, you got to respond. Like Pusha T got to drop the story out around, because Drake didn't they didn't went back and forth subliminally for 10 years. Somebody had to end it, right?
yeah,
Ever since Mr. Me Too, shout out to the movement. Way before that, there was Mr. Me Too with, Pusha T
Pusha
and
T, that song, yeah,
yeah,
Pharrell.
him and Malice dropped with Pharrell when they were the Clips. But when you go subliminally, I mean, it's a difference. Like, I see folks going full ether with, like, Nas and Jay-Z, where it's like, you're dropping a takeover, you're talking about it, and you're dropping ether. And it's like, okay, so are y'all gonna are y'all gonna be serious about this? Are you gonna be able to work it out? Where I think a subliminal diss, I worked in Asia before, And it's like what you never do is lose face or cause someone to lose face. You just don't do it, because once you do it, no one's ever going to deal with you. What do you think about El Guapo? Before I know we're gonna have to rotate soon, but what do you think about El Guapo?
Wait, before you go on, Great Pill Podcast asked, and before the Billions also ask him what was the issue. Still curious.
Oh, last night, man, I needed to, because we were on another stream and my sound was horrible. I just kind of moved my whole setup around. But what the problem ended up being is drivers, man. I have the Focusrite. I have the ScottT Focusrite running my audio through it. And I had to update my drivers. I went to the website, updated the drivers, and everything started working perfectly.
Wow.
Right as the show was ending, man. I'm like, oh man,
So
But, yeah.
hey, well, at least you found out. At least you got it right.
Yeah, man, it was killing me, man. Yeah, my bad, Great Pill, man. I was still gonna reach out to you. If that didn't work, man, I was gonna reach out to you. I was just irritated, man. But El Guapo, man, I like El Guapo. A lot of people, feel some type of way about him. I think there's a space for everyone. You understand what I'm saying? Like, and I think like in the manosphere, if you notice, like even the terms that they give each other or the terms that people answer to, some people will throw out a name, Pookies and Ray Rays is like the, if you're trying to demean somebody, that's the name to call somebody. And then you have people that answer to that, because at one point in their life, they probably felt like a Pookie or a Ray Ray. So they carry that around with them. Even if they're not that anymore, they still have a connection to that. So they're offended. So it's almost always make a joke. Like the manosphere is almost like, how in basketball we do shirts and skins. You know what I mean? It's almost like do-rags versus blazers.
Man, you sick. You sick. That's dumb sick. Do-rags versus blazers. Yes. But you know what? You're absolutely right. And here's something else too. Man, I'm gonna tell you something. You catch me about 25 years ago, 26 years ago, I was all do-rags. Man, my pants were so baggy. I'm a big dude too, so man, Big and Tall made so much money off of me. It was just, but then right now, I wouldn't be caught dead dressing the way I dress. And even when I look at how the young folks dress, I'm like, listen, y'all, I have to stop and tell myself that I looked a certain type of way too, and just to shut up and let young people be young people. With that being said, I'm very particular about mentorship. One thing I do like about El Guapo is because he talks about mentorship and leadership, and he has a good presentation, which I believe is important too. But mentorship and leadership, I appreciate all three of the content creators that I highlighted. I appreciate them for different things, and I think that we need to do more of that. Okay, so I'm gonna. I think it's about time for us to rotate the panel. You have any last words?
This sounds kind of morbid.
You have anything else?
Any last words?
You have any last words?
Right. Before you're over. No, but I think, find who appeals to you and don't feel the need to criticize someone because they don't speak the same language as you. And, by language, I don't mean literal, just, your jargon, how you grew up, what you came from, what made you who you are. Don't discount them because you're not familiar with that. If anything, maybe you can learn something. I feel like, the comment that you were making about spitting out the bones, that's exactly it, man. We come from different backgrounds. So be open to it. And if you don't like it, move on. There's somebody out there for you. Everybody finds their tribe.
Absolutely.
There's something out there for you.
Absolutely.
But that's it, brothers. I appreciate y'all having me, man.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you for coming up. And
you are welcome anytime. Please check out A Story to Tell, visual storytelling. We know a little about that. We know a bit about editing. If you haven't checked out our older videos, we're not just live streamers, but A Story to Tell, definitely one of the best content creators. And actually, I ain't gonna lie, one of the best narrative voices in the stream, in the YouTube stream.
Were you about to say it in the hood?
I almost said in the hood. As far as my hood, man. You start talking hella East Oakland. Listen, man. But no.
Listen, man.
I like East Oakland is a combination of Alabama Alabama and LA slick talk with slang that only people from the Bay understand.
That's funny, man.
But
Skinny
fam,
line.
thank you for coming up, man. That's beautiful. It's really great insights you had on the Manosphere. And look, the way I look at it, we don't have any men's spaces to really just come and chat because, I mean, I ain't been to the barbershop for years, if you catch my drift up here on the bald head. So we need to have a place where we can come and talk openly, but also get corrected when we make mistakes because, hey, I'm not above it. I know the shout out to a Christian who said, hey, some of these guys ain't living what they say they are. But I think once you get older, you realize that it's impossible. I mean, I'm not Jesus. I can't walk on water, and I can't just always be straight and narrow, you know? So we all do things or go back on our word, not because we want to, but because we feel differently because we've evolved from where we were. Even from last year to this year, I'm different. So thank you for your comments. And man, you know, we dropped your link in the chat, and you're at about 961. You're bound to blow if you just keep at it.
562.
I'm sorry, you're at 562. Excuse me.
And I got some extra accounts, so I'll sub to you.
Yeah, but the TIP network is subbed. You're bound to blow, and thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank y'all for having me, man. Appreciate it.
All right.
All right.
All right. Have a good day.
All right.
So we're gonna put up the Caduceus. I say it right? Caduceus shield.
And we're gonna bring up Harrison, which he's good though.
He's good, right?
Yeah.
I gotta make this into habit, all right, Grover?
All right.
All right. Give me 1 second. Let's just put this up there. And there we go.
Sir. Finally, we get to talk to each other. How are you doing?
Good, brother. How you feeling, brother?
I am feeling great. It's the Harrison family values. You know, we're part of a couple of chats together, and we interact a little, but not a lot. So I'm very honored for you joining the stream. I appreciate you. And really, what I was talking about is professionalism in a manosphere the thing that can save it? Because of course, I seen O'Shea Duke Jackson when I was watching Duke and Don stream, and him saying, "Hey guys, I'm out." And like I said, I was working on my monologue, and my energy wasn't even right. I was just sitting around like, man, I'm not going to come out here and not address this, but I don't want to address it, but I need to address it, because if I don't address it, then I'm just as bad as everyone else who's not taking it as serious as we should take it, if that makes any sense to you. So what are your thoughts on just the manosphere in general as it sits right now? And I mean, you know, as a content creator.
I think you brought up O'Shea Duke Jackson. I think his timeline is actually really reveals a lot as far as the life and the efficacy of the manosphere, right? O'Shea started like really comical, real, you know, like his perspective in the very beginning, like, you know, like even up to 2 years ago, very different than what he's saying today, you know. And I think that there's a definite need for the space. Like men need a space where they can come talk, even sometimes air out whatever frustrations we have. But at the end of the day, if we're not looking to build up each other. So let's say after I'm letting out all this frustration, right? Now, what can we do together to constructively build each other up after the fact, right? So not just creating platforms and atmosphere where it's just about venting and talking, just venting and airing stuff out. Now, what can we do to build each other up? And eventually get to the place where that's all we're doing. That's all we're doing. 5 minutes, let it out, bro. Let it out. I hear you. I get your frustrations. Okay. So now here's what you need to do now to get past that. And not the superficial stuff that, some of the people in that space present, because you guys mentioned before that there's an element of entertainment. And that if they say certain things, there's some talking points that they know is going to get people to give super chats. They know is going to get views. And it doesn't matter how essentially toxic it is. At the end of the day, this has become a business, right?
Yeah.
The goal is to try to make money. And I may have a solution, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk 45 minutes about toxic stuff, right? Get people watching, appeal to the people that have negative feelings. And then maybe at the last 5 minutes, tell guys, hey, this is what you do. And I think it could, again, like O'Shea Duke Jackson's channel and his space here, has evolved to where now I'm like, you know what, I can really roll with him because he's now no longer allowing his own experiences to shape what he's saying on YouTube. Now he's seeing people like Kevin Samuels, like MTR, who's now coming in and trying to be a little bit more solution focused. And he's saying, wow, like I don't have to talk about the problems anymore. I don't have to talk about the disparities that men face. I can really talk about solutions now. Well, you know what? I'm gonna do that. So I think that there's definitely a space for professionalism in the Manosphere. I think that should be the ultimate outcome, because when you reach a certain age, right, we should start behaving in a more professional manner. At the end of the day, we're trying to create men through these spaces, right? Like men to improve themselves. And the goal at the, I guess here's the question that we need to ask everybody who's creating content. What is the outcome? What's your end goal? Right?
Absolutely.
In 10 years, you have a viewer that watches every single one of your uploads or live streams. Where do you want that viewer to be in 10 years after hearing your content? You know, I think that has to be the goal.
Almost like a time capsule, right? I remember we used to bury time capsules when I don't even know if we do it anymore, but we used to bury time capsules. They're gonna open this at El Camino High School in 85 years. And what are you going to put in there? And I remember I was trying to write the most inspirational stuff that a 16-year-old could write.
Really?
Yeah.
All people.
Yeah. So this person's known me since he was 20. So he's like,
okay, it might be a lie.
But I was trying to write. No, I was trying to write like inspirational, and it turned out to like, hey, you know, no matter what happens, you can do it. Keep pushing along, and this, that, and stuff that you have no idea what you're talking about when you're 16. You haven't been through nothing, right? No matter what you're doing, when you fall down, your dad will help you out. That's what I should have wrote, right? 16-year-old. But you know, I think that what you say is very interesting. You said something that was very interesting. I want to go back to this because yes, we need to mentor each other. But you said that, you know, it just can't be a space where people just come and air grievances, because one of the things that, like Scott always said, you know, why we do this together. We started this podcast together like 3.5 years ago. And one thing he said was like, man, I just can't talk about relationships and being mad at women. Yeah. Because we're not mad at women.
Yeah.
That's what they do. It's female nature.
Like, no, but it's not even that. It's not even that. Dude, I have like the best woman in the world. My entire family loves her. I say it all the time, and the people, oh, you're just simping for your woman. Yeah, it's my wife. I'm supposed to be simping for her. What are you talking about, right? Like, what's wrong with you, and so like it's just one of those things where there's nothing wrong with like actually having a real true blue, and I talk about it all the time. It's not one time where I won't tell. I don't hide it. I tell people no. I mean, now look, I wouldn't tell somebody at 25 trying to build your life together and get it together. At 25, I was in no position mentally to be a committed man to a woman. But at 48, when I've seen what I've seen in the world, lived in a couple of countries, and like been around, I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. You know how it feels when you're in presence of a good person.
Yeah.
You may not know that, or I want to be able to explain that to folks.
Yeah, and at your age, you know exactly how to weed out the people so you can find the good one.
Absolutely.
You know, like learning how to weed out, you know, because the truth is that, you know, in today's modern, you know, society, modern time, definitions are skewed, roles are skewed, how we operate in relationships are skewed. So we really don't know, right? And then when we get to our age, like I'm 42, so I'm like 6 years younger than you. You know, when you get to like that 40 and up, and you're trying to say, you know what, I need some really, I want to have excitement, but I also need normalcy. You know, like I don't want to deal with the drama that I dealt with in my 20s and mid 30s. Like what I want is peace. Like what I want is peace. I'm at the stage now where I'm not trying to build. I'm somewhat established. Now I just want peace. I want to coast, right? And finding the right person, right, to land with and coast together with is dope. So when you're at that younger stage, young men aren't taught really how to vet the right woman. They're told, don't give your heart to any woman, you know, sow your roll oats, you know, do you. And then, you know, out of it, you get a couple of baby mamas, you know, a couple of child support payments that you got to deal with until they're 18. And then let's say, you know, in 2005, you know, you knocked up some young lady, and then 2010, you knocked up another young lady. 2013, dag, happened again. You're
That's
paying
like
child
back
support for
tax.
like another, yeah, like you're
That's
paying
like
child
back
support.
taxes, bro.
Yeah.
Boy.
So, you know, yeah, I think like so experience is the greatest teacher, but young 25-year-old, you don't have to learn from experience, because you got, you know, 48-year-old brothers here trying to tell you, listen, I know you want to have fun out there, right? I know, but you got to glean from the experiences of older people, because, you know, you're going to get to the stage where you want to coast, but now you're 48 and you still got 2 children you're paying child support for. So
you got 2 children you're paying child support for, and guess what? You want to start another family with this lady that you just met. But you can't afford to. You can't afford to. Shout out to me for not having no kids and not paying no child support. But one thing,
so it's not gonna be like family, or it's not. What's that Step by Step? And that sitcom where the 2 step families all come together.
Remember that.
But here's something that I put on our last stream. We had a chat where somebody said, why do men pretend that men's body count don't count, but they're so mad at women's body count? And you know, you could go through all the talking points and say, whoa, this and that and this, but let me tell you something. Men's body count does count, because if you get 150 bodies on you, you're gonna have some kids. And let's be real. You get 150 bodies, you're gonna have some kids. And
speaking of which, she's
hey,
referring to your comment there,
but you're gonna have some kids. And check it out, with those children, right? Your market value lessens because you're paying child support. And guess what? Just like I don't want to deal with no crazy baby mama drama, neither does the person you're with. She don't want to deal with baby mama drama. She don't want to deal. I don't want to deal with like 5 or 6 dudes saying, "Oh, you know, I don't want you around my kid." Neither does she want to deal with that with your mom. So I mean, if you find the right person substance, she's not going to put up with a whole lot of foolishness either.
True.
And you know who I learned that from? My father. My father taught me that. You know,
but like, and you mentioned your father, and I think of a lot of these younger brothers growing up, you know, who may not have a consistent father figure in their life, are looking at people like Kevin Samuels and O'Shea and El Guapo and TLA and MTR to identify what it means to be a man now.
Right.
You know, like I want to be a man. Like what does that look like? And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna, you know, go on YouTube and I'm gonna follow these men. I'm gonna follow their advice. And here's a problem with some of that, right? Because they don't have like a contrasting perspective, they would make these men their gods.
That's the problem.
Right? Yeah, like, you know, they can't say anything or do anything wrong. And then with like, so I posted up a video a year and a half ago that is still getting views, and I get insults about it all the time still. And
good job, sir. Good job. That means that good video.
Yeah. And all I simply said was that, you know, Kevin Samuels doesn't speak for all men. And the purpose of it was just to say, guys, like, you be your own man. Like, there's some things that he says that are amazing that you can glean from. But listen, don't just fall into everything that one person says. You got to think critically, you know, and some of the things may not apply to you. Some of the things may not be beneficial to you, you know? So, and I think, and this is just me me speaking. Like, I think men really got to get to that place where they're like, listen, that's one of them. Yeah. So that's a good, that was actually a decent video that I big him up because he had some amazing points, and he needs to be in the space. He needs to be out there. Right.
Absolutely.
But he doesn't speak for all men because we're not a monolith. You know, we all have different values. We all have different things, but at the core, you know, there's some things that I agree with and vice versa. But the thing is, when we start deifying these men to the point where everything that they say is not up for scrutiny and not up for criticism, then we're like, all right, guy, you know, you just made yourself a simp for this man, and you don't even realize it.
And something else too is that we also can't let him speak for us, because there's a lot of times where they'll be like, well, are you a fan of Kevin Samuels? I say, yeah, you know, there's some stuff I think he's a great first of all, I always go from content creation. I think he's a great content creator.
No, he is. He set the bar. Like, he set the bar so high. Like, even me, like, I'm like still trying to figure out, what do I need to do with this to step in.
But like literally, he set the bar so high but also just the way he approaches it, the way everything, like his lighting, his system that he's working by himself.
Yeah.
You know, the amount of guests that he has on, the fact that most of his guests are women, which is almost impossible to do. The fact that women know that they're going to rate themselves and he's going to probably dispute that. And they're going to say the same thing over and over again. And they still come on. I mean, it's like, because I remember someone was trying to convince me that he was paying them. And I was like, no, because no one has that much money to pay somebody every night. Like, that's impossible.
And truthfully, before he got big on YouTube, he didn't have a lot of money.
I absolutely believe that. I absolutely believe that he was probably a mid-high level earner.
Yeah,
that's what I say.
Yeah,
like he probably earned money like I would say myself or most folks in my space earn money. You know, not you know, like I always say, like you can earn a lot of money in the Bay Area and it feels like earning an average living in Atlanta. You know, and so one more thing. So are you a fan of the TLA? Because we spent so much time talking about Kevin, but are you a fan?
Yeah, I like some of his content. I think and what I like is that he doesn't come off too big not to engage with those who are smaller than his channel. You know,
I think that's the TLA's superpower.
Yeah,
I think his superpower is that I think the TLA is a Kennedy. Kennedys are always rich, but they always somehow make you think that they cared about broke people.
yeah.
But Kennedys, the whole Kennedy family's been rich the entire history of the Kennedy family. From the time the Kennedys left, when old man Joe left Ireland, right? He started bootlegging to make money. From the time he bootlegged until right now, if your last name is Kennedy, you are balling. And so I'm sitting here wondering, like, hold on a second. These are, because once you start reading, I was a history minor. I love history. But once you start reading and analyzing history, especially American history, I'm like, hold on a second. Roosevelt, FDR made people think that he cared. FDR is a super rich. He's from a super rich family, but he was for the common person. Kennedy was from a super rich Roman Catholic, super Irish family, and like this is how big Kennedy was. Like, you would walk into the average black household when I was young, no matter where I went from, my family in Texas, my family in Oklahoma, and my family in LA, my family in Bay Area, and my family overseas. And it would be a picture.
Yeah.
It would be a picture of Martin Luther King, Jesus Christ, and JFK. No, play JFK. But I'm just like, and I'm looking up here and I was like,
that's a dope picture.
How did JFK get up here? And he got so much, he's rich, you know, but, you know, and I think the TLA is that obviously, if you listen to the TLA, how he carried himself, I do not believe that the TLA has been broke for a very long time.
Yeah.
I believe that if the TLA did not make any YouTube money, he would do a few consultations a week and be on vacation. I also think it's a good opportunity that the TLA may not be around doing this for so much longer. I don't think he needs the money. I think he enjoys doing it. But
I think the audio is a little robotic.
Yeah. Okay.
Let me pop some things out here.
Yeah, our poor computer is working overtime.
Yeah.
Is it better now?
Yeah, it is.
Good. So
I was trying to show the why is
that super thumbnail.
Yeah. But
and so the thing is that his superpower, being able to deal with small content creators. And look, he put us over the 1,000 mark. New Year's, we were there, and I sent a super chat and said, "Listen, man, we've been at this for 3.5 years. We taught ourselves how to edit. I've been playing music. I played in music from the music to the editing. It's 100% in-house. Nobody went to school for this." And he stopped and said, "You know what? I don't want to go further until it's 2,000 people in this chat. They only need 60 more. They need to get, or 40 more. They need to get their 1,000 right now. It's New Year's." Yeah. And he did that. And so, and to me, that's amazing because he doesn't have to do that.
In fact, with a lot of YouTubers, it's seen as like disrespectful for anyone to drop their channel into the chat. So the TLA, like I come from the traditional formula. Sorry, I'm getting a double echo here. Getting the traditional formula of YouTube success, where you're doing everything by yourself. You're a solopreneur, so you do all the editing or whatever, and it's not looked upon kindly when people start spamming your chat or whatever. And in fact, you talking with other creators or bringing people up, like people really don't do that. And so with watching The Lead Attorney, because Grover introduced me to Lead Attorney, it showed me the power of having a community and uplifting other people, whatever stage they're at on their YouTube journey. It just shows how fast a community can come together where people are all literally, I mean, I dislike using this phrase, but they're eating, you know?
Yeah. And I think I was reading on Marcus's comment. I like the balance perspective that he has. Again, I don't agree with everything that everybody says. Like there's, you know, it's rare that I meet somebody, oh, I like that point, but yeah, I gotta give you pushback on this. TLA tries to be as balanced as he can be. And I think, and here's the thing about young men who grew up without fathers, and this is just, you know, generally speaking, not speaking to everybody, generally speaking, they are always going to look for somebody that they can put in that place. So when you have TLA that came out, and he was, you know, speaking, I think he blew up after that. Was it the Fresh and Fit video that he blew up?
That really, that took him off for sure.
So now we have young men that are trying to put him in that place of daddy, and now he's a spokesperson for the Manosphere and the Red Pill community. And now what they don't know is, he was critical about this. He speaks about issues that pertains to men, but he also is not anti-woman. And if you're not anti-female, now you're like, you know, what's wrong with you? Like, how come you're not bashing women like everybody else in the space? Like, we put you here. Like, I didn't ask to be put here. Yeah, you put me there. And, you know, this is my perspective. This is my view. Just because you guys follow me doesn't mean that I'm going to now adapt your ways of thinking and then start promoting that, which is also a testament to his integrity as a content creator.
Yes.
I'm glad you said that, because I actually wanted to bring that up. And that was a question I wanted to ask you. But, you know, everyone was on the flow of talking. Is what do you think of women coming on to The Lead Attorney and becoming the sponsor of his show? Like, how do you see it as women are entering in the space and showing their support to the Manosphere? Should they be welcomed as they have been with like The Lead Attorney?
I think so, because at the end of the day, we're looking for harmony, right? Like, we're looking for a place where men and women could be harmonious together in life, in society. Like, how long can we keep the whole, you guys have your Manosphere and Red Pill space, and you guys have your divestor and, you know, pro-female communities over there, and you guys keep throwing bombs across, you know, where people like TLA, who's trying to bring people together, are caught in the crossfires. Guys, it's time to grow up. You know, like, guys, it's time to grow up. Do you guys want healing in our communities? Or do you guys want to just make money? Because it's to me, it's like the pyramid schemes, right? There's the person at the very top, you know, will always eat. The people at the very bottom, you know, they've bought into the concept, but they're not eating, right? So you got people who are huge in these platforms, right? 100,000s, 200,000s, million subscribers, right? And they're essentially spitting poison that's causing their communities to hate the other community, right?
Right.
They're making money off of this, because if we look at their channels, the super chats are off the like crazy. All you gotta do is say something like, you know, and I won't say it because, like, you know, YouTube is sensitive to this, but if you get pregnant with a young black boy, you know, make sure that, you know, you don't
Yes,
things like that, right? All of a sudden, every single woman who has been hurt in a relationship sending the super chats, right? Like, they're getting that money. You know, what they don't realize what's happening is, you know, they're saying that they're at the top of the pyramid. They're eating off of what you're saying, right? They're probably behind the scenes after the fact, snuggle up with the man that they're saying they hate on the live stream, and you are actually hating them. So listen, like, I think we just got to stop drinking all the Kool-Aid.
Well, I mean, it goes the same way as if somebody's saying like, hey, you know what? Don't go out here simping for sugar babies or doing this and that. And then you turn around and like you pick, you know, you say, no, you got to vet a woman. You got to do this and that. And you take a woman who's exactly the opposite of what you're talking about. And I always say this.
Fresh? You talking about Fresh?
I'm just talking. I'm just talking.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to be more like, hey,
I really want to build that computer so I can show some thumbnails off right now.
But here's the thing I say. Yeah. When you become a personification, I've said this 100 times. If you become a personification, you can't pivot. You can't grow. So, you know, like, so how is if you say that you're so hard on women and hard on thoughts and this and that, and women ain't nothing. And then how can you fall in love? The goal of a man's life is not to die alone. I don't care what anyone says. I will. Here, let me just give me 1 second. Let me talk to every young man who will ever hear this. Please do not sell yourself short by getting with the wrong person, but do not divorce yourself from women altogether because you were hurt and die alone. Because guess what? At the end of the day, if you ain't got no kids, you're going to be in a room by yourself with people who don't care about you.
Yep.
And so, you know, my dad was one of the strongest men I ever seen in my life. And I'm so proud of what he taught me. But my dad was divorced twice. And if it wasn't from his boys, he would have been in trouble. But he did have 2 sons. So, you know, he had some people who look out for him. And me and my brother would take turns. We do whatever we had to do. He also had a family network who loved him also.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that it's very important. It just really made me think. And this happened a few years ago, but I said, you know what? There's a lot of dudes who are going to talk themselves out of good people out of fear of getting hurt, but they're so young that they don't realize what's really could happen.
Yeah.
Man, we've been talking forever.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you for the opportunity to come on.
No, it's great. It's great.
No, head off now.
It's great to talk to you. Thank you for your time. Any final words before we let you go?
Let me. I have here.
Yeah, I just want to let you know. I think that we have to get to the place where there's a lane for everybody in this content creation space. But ultimately, you really want to get to professionalism. You know, you may start off in the mailroom, but eventually you would like to be a VP, you know, or executive in the company that you're working for. So treat content like this. You can start off with a channel that, you know, is very low end on the Manosphere space, but eventually you want to get to the place where you're producing content and your imagery and your brand is much like Kevin Samuels, you know. So there's a space for everybody, but make sure that, you know, you're looking to eventually get to the place where you are producing professional content that actually helps. That's it. Yeah.
Well, like I always tell folks, because, you know, I've been on investor tours before, and it became part of my job 7 years ago. The people who watch you are your investors. They are investing time and they're watching your eyes, and you have to answer to them. So if you jump out the window, then you got to have a good reason to. And so it's always better. Like if you were investing in something, in a company, you would want to know that the CEO of that company, which we are, we're the CEO of TIP, you're the CEO of Harrison Family Values, right? We would like to know that CEO, if he jumps out the window, has a good idea and he's steady and even. You understand what's going on, because I'm investing. And so, I mean, thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Coming to a smaller channel is really great.
Pleasure.
I appreciate you. I've actually watched a couple of your videos. You know, it's so much to watch, but of course, I look forward to talking to you in the future, and it was really good to have this conversation. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Before you leave, can you describe your channel a little bit more to me?
Yeah. So the channels, I was a vlogger. I used to vlog, but then I moved more into the live stream space where I talk about faith, family, fatherhood, and manhood. And I'm a father of 3, a husband, also was an ex-husband, but I really just want to see people. I'll say it like this. I talk about things that everybody pretty much talks about, but I try to bring it full circle to promote positivity and even provide like a biblical spin on it to offer solutions that would help out specifically men to become better men.
Okay, cool.
Excellent.
I like that.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you for coming up, and thank you for blessing us with your thoughts and giving us some great input.
Thank you, sir.
All right. I'll be in the bushes watching.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. And, you know, that was an excellent conversation. Everybody who's come up so far, that link is still there if you want to come up, if you want to talk.
Let's read out Triple C Solutions, because I seen him in the chat and he made some great points. So could you read that out for me, Grover, please?
Well, hold on. If I got to read,
you're showing your age right there.
Yeah, shut up. However, all black men do not have the same view. I like the TLA seemingly remains objective. He could have easily begun pandering to women and telling them that what they want to hear, i.e. Steve Harvey. Yes. Well, here's the thing. I think that you don't want to tell any group exactly what they want to hear. Just to go on. Go on. I know what you want to say.
No, nothing.
You were starting to say it, huh?
Yeah. Nothing.
But you don't want to pander to any group. So I think it's very important. If you disagree with someone, you have to be able to disagree with them with a stiff upper lip, but also with an understanding that they have a point of view and they believe in that point of view. I think what's happening is sometimes we disagree with somebody totally just taking it that they're just disingenuous. Nah, you don't believe that. You're just, my side's better, or you don't listen to them. I think that the TLA does have a way of seeming neutral and just doing, because you know what? He doesn't dislike, he doesn't hate women, but
he has seen how the court system has played in favor for women.
What I think the TLA doesn't like is the justice system. That's what I think he doesn't like.
The for-profit justice system.
Yeah, and I know a lot of attorneys actually that I know will tell you the same thing, that they're not really for the way the justice system treats people in general, but especially people, fathers, because of what he's seen. But I would say that, we think that's right. And as far as Steve Harvey, I think Steve Harvey found out that he can make money a certain way. Mm-hmm. And he kept making money that way, and he's not going to stop. Mm-hmm. And Steve Harvey's not going to stop until he's put up, and and it is what it is.
So, what are your thoughts on women entering into the space?
Well, okay.
And let's start off with the audience.
So, I think
as moderators, as regular viewers.
Absolutely. So, there's like Duke and Don has women moderators. The TLA, Kevin Samuels, Gail at Night moderates for everybody. She's like the world's moderator. Who else?
Lucchese?
Lucchese, yeah, the smooth cat. That's Can
you explain what a smooth? Okay, so I got different interpretations of smooth cat.
It is what you're thinking.
Oh, it is what I think it is?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's like really like
yeah, so
there's an actual cat that's like hairless?
Yeah, stop.
What?
Look at the look on your face, dude. Stop. So and so that's the thing. That's the thing. Yes, women should be moderators, and also shout out to women who want to come up and have their opinion and believe stuff. I think that women coming to the space. If you're coming into a men's space, and you're a hardcore feminist, you're going to be upset because you're going to find out that people don't agree with you. It's just like if men go to a hardcore feminist page, you're going to be like, I just don't agree with this. And if you can make yourself listen, you may find some things you agree with what they say. You might find some things you don't agree with. Like, look, I believe that women, I've always said this, I believe that women can do what they want to do. But I don't believe that they're free from consequences of doing what they want to do. Just like men can do what they want to do, but you're not free for consequences. What does that mean? Right? Let me trigger some ladies here. If you prioritize getting a job, having a career, and being a lawyer, being a doctor, being a nurse, something that's just going to take time from your life, right? It's going to take you years and years and years to build your way there. Then don't be upset when you can't find a man who's on your level when you turn around and you're like, maybe 35 years old. It's like, okay, now I want to get married, but I want a man who's 35 to 45 who makes $150,000 to $200,000 because I can make $150,000, and who's 6 foot tall and who doesn't have a black gut and who takes care of himself. Well, that guy is actually probably going to date. If he's 35 years old, he's probably going to be looking at 25 to 30-year-olds. If he's 45, he's going to be looking at 30 to 35-year-olds. You're at the end of what he's looking for, and you're going to have a lot of competition. And so that's just the reality of it. But if you wouldn't have prioritized school, you would have got that man when you were 25. That's just the truth. And you would have had that man of value when you were 25. It just depends on what you want. I think that the worst thing that feminism tells people as of today, not first wave feminism when it said, hey, if you want to go to work, you can go to work. If you want to stay home, you can stay home. But as it stands today, I think it's that you can have it all. And you have it all is
eating Burger King. Can't have it all your way.
Can't have it all your way. It's a fairy tale. It's a fairy tale that men have too. Men say, hey, I want the perfect lady who does everything that we want. And she can cook, and she's in the kitchen in a wedding dress, and she's doing everything I want her to do always. It's like, bro. And by the way, I want her to look like the new Catwoman. And it's like, dang, you want all of that? Yeah. And you looking like Big Ed from 90 Day Fiance. It ain't gonna happen, bro. You can't have it all.
Well, because it's like if you have a really hot looking girl, she's gonna have minus attributes in other areas.
Right.
So you got to make. There's not a perfect 30 using Patrice O'Neill's rating scale right here. A perfect 30 would be like equivalent to like a goddess. It's not doesn't exist, as there is not a perfect man for any kind of woman, because a perfect man most likely will have options. So at least what Kevin Samuels says. So I hear here, Marcus Rodriguez says, I don't have a problem with women there as long as they don't conflate feministic left-wing liberal views. Then we have DM responds, what views from women do you want to hear?
Well, so what views would I want to hear from women? So let's answer that question, right? Because I got to tell you, I don't want to hear.
Don't laugh, bro.
I can't help it.
Just don't laugh. It's not funny.
Just put up Big Ed.
This is Big Ed.
So, ladies, if this dude is talking about you need to be in a wedding dress cooking dinner for me, I just think that it's tough. I think you're gonna have a hard time finding who you want to find and having all of these high expectations. And so what did Marcus says, I DM, as long as she understands it's barbershop talk and understands that it's for men's right and it's men's talking points and goals. So my question to Marcus is, at what point can men's goals and women's goals intersect with each other? And this is not being anybody's advocate. This is just an honest question, because at one point, I mean, I just take the Black community in 1964, 70% to 80% of the Black community was married. It seems like their points were intersecting as like a mofo. Now this marriage is dropping. And so are our views just growing apart? Or what's happened to make our views grow apart? If anybody wants to answer that, or if anybody wants to come up and talk about that right now, then we can. If nobody comes up in 5 minutes, then we'll just end the session.
So are you saying it only pertains to the Black community? Because from my observations, it's starting to seem like a lot of different ethnic groups are adopting the same American modern age feminism attitude. And then also, I've also noticed guys have been coming from watching all this Manosphere content, have these high outlandish expectations without wanting to settle themselves.
Absolutely.
So that's the observations I see.
The reason why I talk about the Black community in general is because it's a community I actually pay the most attention to stats to, because I think it's hard to just follow stats for everybody. If you break it down, like follow stats for Native Americans or Asian Americans, you go into Asian Americans, you can go to like Japanese, Chinese, Hmong, Southeast Asians,
which are all very different
stuff, which is all very different
on their culture.
Yeah, or like then you can go to like Latinos, but then you got to separate Portuguese Latinos from Spanish Latinos,
and then you also got to separate socioeconomic status too.
Exactly,
so how much money they make, who they are.
So I think that with me, instead of doing that, I just really focus on the Black community, because you know what, it's the community that really would affect me the most, and so that's when I started studying that about the most. Let's see.
Oh, and one thing, this when we started to make this thumbnail and we showed Guapo and we showed the lead attorney and Kevin Samuels, Rover at first wanted to call it the Black Manosphere, but then I looked into it a little bit more deeply, and I was like, wait a second, these guys are professional, meaning that they're consistent with their content, they show up, they present very well, but they're also the best dressed in the Manosphere. So when I combine those two things together, where professionalism in content creation, as well as how well dressed they are, I'm saying, it's not just the Black Manosphere, it's the whole Manosphere. So that's what I want to say about that.
Well, I would say this, and I really want to preference test it. I want to break down the three guys again and what are the things that impressed me about them. So like I said, Kevin Samuels, the way he conducts himself and the way he has those tough talks with folks in a way that, with women, tough talks with women in a way that honestly, men talk to each other, but also he takes a lot off of it, right? And like Kevin Samuels, also just the professionalism and the drive to build to 1 million on 2 different platforms. Folks, let me tell you how hard it is to get to 1,200. let me just like anybody who's over 1,200 listening, God bless you, because you get to 1,200, whoa! But Jesus, it was tough. But then to get to 1 million twice, I mean, yes, he talked about some sensational things, had some viral moments, got picked up on World Star 2 or 3 times, but it was tough.
Are you talking about Freshen? Or are you talking about Kevin Samuels?
Kevin Samuels.
Average
right.
at best.
Average, yeah. Now let's talk about TLA. TLA, who's probably at 100, what's he about 158K or something?
153,000.
153,000. But how tough is it to have conversations? I mean, he had an 8-hour live stream, I think, or a 6-hour live
The
stream.
long stroke is real.
And just like, let me tell you something. I'm a member of his Patreon.
Yeah,
we're a member of his Patreon. And the biggest question I ever want to ask, and when I get up the gumption to ask, is like, man, how do you talk for 2 hours on a subject? How is that possible? And the thing is like this. He's a professional orator, but also how does he talk to people after people after people and show incredible patience and listen to folks, even when they're like, he gives a lot of grace because there's people who are totally full of it, just not ready to go on a show and like don't even know what it's about.
Smoke alarms going off.
Oh man, just stuff in the background, right?
Yeah.
And then talking about El Guapo, right? And like saying that like the presentation, the mentorship, and honestly, I'm gonna tell you, I'm a fan of sharp language. Shout out to the Vinyl Message. Shout out to Caduceus. I call him Razor. I'm a fan of sharp language. I listened to El Guapo for 3 hours yesterday, and I didn't hear him say once. I didn't hear him say like or any filler words. I don't believe a man has 0 filler words when it's like he's talking like he's reading a prompter, you know? And so I know like I've listened to myself talk and I hear filler words all the time. Now I know people say filler words. Is that what's really impressive about him? Yes.
It's extremely hard to be able to speak without any kind of usage of filler words.
The speech is so targeted. He asked questions that's so targeted. So I think that a combination of these three can really push this to the next level. Look, does everyone have to wear a suit? No, I was going to wear a great value suit tonight, but then I put on my great value polo.
Oh, when we getting paid, trust me, we're dressing up.
Yeah.
We're dressing up.
But, you know.
Hopefully won't struggle stream anymore.
Yeah,
and have a camera just like Harrison Family Values. That camera was nice.
Yeah, it was.
This picture was nice and clean.
I mean, I was like, man, this dude is in my living room. I'm glad we didn't put him on a big screen. It would have been like he's here with us. So, you know, look, I want to give a personal shout out to everybody who rocked with us from day one. People who come in, story to tell. Thank you for coming up today. Really great conversation. Great conversation with Christian, right? And Harrison Family Values, great. It looks like no one's hitting a link. So,
but let's read this one out because I think it's important for us to read it out. We're from Marcus Rodriguez. Thank you again, Marcus.
Well, that's why they have been real. And the talk and the view, it may or may not be a positive messages, but men's spaces are not respected, especially being a veteran and experience working in law.
And this is in reference to DM or actually any woman's saying, in a sense, not fully empathizing with the plight and struggles that men go through on a daily basis. And especially in this case, for a veteran and someone that's worked in law or law enforcement.
Do we have Marcus Rodriguez, we spoke to him before, who's a veteran, family from Michoacan. I know because I always ask people where they're from because my wife's from Mexico. And law and then working in law, 100%. Like, you know, there's stresses that he's going through that people don't understand, and that a men's space can really help. And men's space can really help. I mean, let me tell you something. One of the biggest things that happen to veterans when they're serving is they come back and their wife left them. And I'm not saying this has happened to him, but it's the biggest divorce rate in the nation is veterans serving.
Mm-hmm.
You know, police officers are up there too. So if he's serving, then he went to work as a police officer. Oh, but Jesus.
We appreciate you too, a story to tell. Like, thank you for coming up once again.
Yes, sir. And you are always welcome. Story to tell. All the folks who come up, you always have an open stories. You have an open invitation. When we drop that link, you hit it. We love our regulars.
So going back to law enforcement, my dad was a former police officer, so I'm not gonna try to put the whole business out on blast, but I can second what you're saying, Marcus Rodriguez, because I don't know why I said his last name too. Marcus is because I've had personal experiences, even as you call it, personal traumas. You know, that's the word they like to use.
Who hurt you? Who hurt you?
Who hurt me? And let's just say when you're out there fighting in a war and you come back and you're not with exactly the right woman, you could be taken for a lot.
Yes.
And especially when you're expecting the woman back at home to be taking care of business, like raising a child and taking care of the home, making sure that finances are stable when you come back from overseas back home, and all of a sudden you see your finances just basically aflame. It's not a really good feeling to have.
Yeah.
So I second what you're saying. I can relate from a child's perspective from that, from your message, Marcus.
All right. So shall we close it out?
Yeah. You got anything else you want to hit?
Yeah, I want to say this.
All right.
Right. I want to just reiterate what I said up front. We came into the space 3.5 years ago, not really knowing what we were going to talk about. We talked about MMA. We talked about current events. We talked about the germ. We talked about, my goodness, automation. We talked about universal basic income. We talked about presidential politics.
I'm all for that. UBI, blockchain technology, it's going to happen.
We talked about a whole lot of different things that we were just all over the place. And it wasn't until we found this men's space and an understanding that things that we could talk about that we really could find our foothold. Now, look, we don't talk a lot of relationships here. When we talk relationships, we have fun with it. We talk about the friend zone.
My stupid mistakes.
Yeah, friend zones. Oh, yeah.
Hey,
can't back out of a.
I don't
out of a parking
blame my
lot,
exes for anything, but just like I blame everything for myself.
Yeah,
it's always my fault because I put myself in that position. Because what is the TIP Network's about? Self accountability
and critical thinking. Yeah. And that's what we really want to do here, right? So we want to have real conversations, but I'm not here to blame people about it. It's just like, DM had such a great comment saying, like, what's the difference between them? Why don't men look at women's body count? They think that their high body count doesn't degrade them. And I told her, yeah, a high body count does degrade you, because let me tell you something, DM. I know you're saying, oh, not if you're careful. Ha ha ha. Ain't no man gonna be careful if he's banging 150 ladies. I'm just telling you, he's gonna go all in. He's not gonna pull out.
Oh yeah,
there's gonna be some
to ask a man not to go all in after 150 girls.
Yeah, he's not saying just a tip. He's gonna get comfortable. He's gonna have too much.
What's the odds on that one?
The odds are man,
against him.
I got a better chance of being an astronaut right now than a man not having an accident. And and men have to understand that. And look, really, it's not up to you. It's not up to you when when a woman gets pregnant. It's up to her. This is the world we live in, and this is what we understand. And so, like, when we talk about relationships and we talk about things like hypergamy, or things of just people's nature, or things about choices and what people want, we don't talk about it from an angry point of view, because I'm not angry at women. I've never been angry at women. Women who know me, I haven't been angry at them. So
all right, I was trying to find this news clip about the guy who ended up becoming like multiple baby daddies, like 20 to 30 kids or something at one time.
Yeah,
is that what?
Yeah, the cat in Tennessee. It was just ridiculous. Like the judge told him, the judge let him out, told him, you need to go to work. But but at the same time, when you're having men's space, you have to understand, ladies who are listening, that there's some trauma out there, that men's been ran over, men's been heartbroken, and if you have to understand what you've done wrong, you also have to understand that, some men have been wrong. So if we got to understand that, hey, we were wrong, we were dogs, we were cheated. There's also a bunch of dudes who have been cheated on. And then we are a bunch of dudes who go and meet a lady after, and you got to pay for the sins of the dude before her who has nothing to do with you. And so literally, like, when a woman says, listen, I know my worth, I know what happened before, I'm never letting what happened to me with this other guy happen again. What you're telling the guy is, thank you, I now have to pay for the other dude's choices. And that's not what I want to do. So talking about Kevin Samuels, yes, he's needed for the space. He's an ultimate content creator. Talking about the TLA, yes, we need to build a huge
community network of other content creators, building each other up.
Network of content creators. And talking about a Guapo, we need to have that understanding, that sharp talk, that mentorship, and also that presentation. All of them have great presentations, by the way, but El Guapo's presentation to me sticks out to me, right? You know, the ascot, maybe it's the ascot. So I want to thank you all for rocking with us.
Before you go, also, I'm sure you guys, let's say, so I've gone through experiences, traumatic experiences, maybe not as traumatic as some people, but to a point where I've been very hurt about any kind of number of situations, whether I was a child or I've been in relationships. And at this point, I find everything to be a joke, not a joke in a way that I'm diminishing my own experiences. It's basically, I look at life like how comedians look at life, where you have to reconcile some of those traumatic experiences with laughter. So I laugh a lot at my own experiences that I've gone through, whether it's through financial hardships or the relationships or even some own internal struggles. And I think it's good to even say, I've never had to go to therapy, but if you need to go to therapy, you should go do that. Like betterhelp.com or looking through your own health network systems. So
oh, and let me answer the question. I just said no kids. If some people are smart enough to wrap it up. Donna, if somebody is out there, Miss DM, if somebody's out there getting 700 women, the chance of him wrapping it up all the time is about the chances of me being an astronaut.
It reminds me of that saying, like the Kanye song, like something. I'm a big-headed astronaut. I get a lot of ass a lot or something. You remember that line?
Yeah. You had to drop a Kanye line.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right. Here we go.
All right. So make sure you like and subscribe.
Make sure
for all you guys that catch this video on the after the live stream.
Catch it at all. Hit the notifications all the way up so you can hear our next live stream. We have some heat coming in the live streams. Hold on. We got some heat coming in with live streams, all right? So I'm going to start talking about our live streams now. I'm going to give you guys a little preview. Everybody who's listened to this, all 5 people, that I appreciate you for rocking with us for 2 hours. You're amazing. Number one thing we have coming up is we have the most dangerous job in America, and we're going to talk about something totally outside of the Manosphere. We're going to talk about the tragedy of how many professional rappers passed away last year. It's shocking.
And I brought this up to you first.
Yes, Scott.
I was just like, so many rappers have died, like especially the young kids out from Chicago and New York and some of these others using like going with drill music. And it's really saddening to witness. And there's some good channels that report on the warring battles between different factions.
Right. We're gonna we're also looking at
he's out of your league, ladies
and gentlemen.
Change my mind or change our mind.
Yeah, change our mind. And gentlemen, she's out of your league.
Yep.
Change our mind. So
that's for the ladies and
fun
the
relationship.
Gentlemen. And then we got another one. You'll compromise on body count.
Prove me wrong.
Then Magic Manifesting. It's a working title. But like I'm into the whole new age spirituality, but sometimes it gets a little bit too much into the woo-woo land. I mean, I like to marry the actual sciences with new age spiritualism. But like I said, some of the things I hear from the audience, especially when they call in to the other content creators or Kevin Samuels, it's like, it's too much. Like there's only so much that you can actually manifest without action. And most of the things that you can manifest in your life is through action. So then we got another one. We're going to do a reaction on Andrew Huberman and David Buss, who happens to be an evolutionary psychologist specializing in human relationships. That's up my alley. I love the sciences, but wait till you hear what David Buss says. I mean, it's going to get you guys really like thinking about it, because he also has appeared on Jordan Peterson. So we're going to do a reaction on Jordan Peterson and David Buss. Then there's a couple other ones. Passport PIMPN or SIMPN.
Passport PIMPN. But hey, and this one is going to be great. It's something I've been working on for a long time. We're going to have people come on and just tell their experiences of traveling all over the world. And, this is why we're different. Most folks, they talk about, listen, you go over here, you get this lady and this and that. Here's how much it costs to date a woman here and this and that. Or people talk about, oh, you go here and it's a mystical, magical place. What we're going to talk about is how you can get in trouble. How you can get in trouble with in different countries and how to avoid trouble, including the infamous spontaneous hoeing stories that I have. All right, folks.
All right. And then also we said like and subscribe. Make sure you comment down below. Also follow us on all our social networks on TIP Network or on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, technically Meta. In one word, THPP Network. And what else do we got?
It's time to say goodbye.
Yeah, that's it. All right.
Now it's time to say goodbye to all my little friends. Okay, so ask yourself one burning question. Hold it together.
Are you going to become an astronaut? I don't know. I already lost it.
Ask yourself one burning question. Can you handle the tip? Thank you for rocking with us. And boom, booty in your face. We're out.
We're going all in. But pull out.
We appreciate everyone.
Yep. Hey, Liza or Leah Blossy Cakes.
Leah Bossy Cakes, Redfield.
Just say what's up.
Yeah. Thank you
All
for
right.
saying good stream. May the force be with you. Y'all take care. Hope you enjoyed it.